I'm Stephanie from Rearview Rhonda.
And I'm David from The Devil Lettuce.
We're excited to share the noise coming out of this town.
This is Noise and Nonsense, a podcast about the bands playing your favorite house shows, DIY venues, or melting faces at the local bar down the street.
These are the bands you should know, the ones killing it locally. In rock, punk, metal, all local, all killer.
Support your local scene.
Let's dive in.
How you doing?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
Not too bad. You know, Townie summer has come to an end.
Yeah. It's full swing out there.
It was. Just coming in here, I don't know, I used to destroy a lot of chicken wings, and I've taken many months off from eating chicken wings. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll get some Buffalo's on the way home. The line was out the door on the way in.
At noon?
Yeah. I was like, what is going on here?
I just noticed it with parking, with everything. Obviously, right now, I was like, why is it so busy on a Sunday at 12:30?
They're back.
Yeah.
You know, a lot's happened since the last we recorded. Ozzy passed away. Super sad. You know, the headpiece of heavy metal. I feel like he was the icon of it all.
Yeah.
And I think anyone in heavy music has kind of had some Ozzy or Black Sabbath influence.
I know my introduction was probably way different than I feel like, maybe not most people just for my age, but I feel like Lita Ford and Ozzy, the song they did, was my first introduction to Ozzy on MTV.
Yeah, that's
and then
awesome.
Obviously expanded from there.
Yep. Yeah, I think Iron Man is something I heard very early on, and yeah, it's kind of shaped the music. Also this past week, Brent Hines, formerly of Mastodon, passed away in a freak accident.
Yeah, I was trying to remember when I was introduced to Mastodon, and I had forgotten this, but I wish I could remember this, but I don't. But Joshua was like, oh, I remember the first time we found out about Mastodon. He was like, we were sitting on my couch and watching Headbangers Ball on MTV, and they came on, and our minds were blown. And I was like, I don't remember watching Headbangers Ball with you. I was like, I didn't even realize it still existed when he and I met, but I guess I just looked it up, and it was around until 2012. So.
Oh, I didn't realize it went on for that long.
Yeah,
That's
I didn't
crazy.
either. I was like, it wasn't around back then, was it? Or still around, but.
Mastodon's album, Blood Mountain, there's something about that as soon as I hear anything from that, it transports me back to that time in my life, and I remember where I was working, where I was living so vividly. Yeah. It's crazy.
Ours was definitely Leviathan. Was the album that just still today, I probably listen to the most.
Leviathan's funny because my hometown, Troy, New York, Herman Melville lived there for quite a while, and yep.
Awesome.
A lot of Moby Dickin' around.
Awesome. Well, who do we have coming in today?
We have Spaghetti Midwestern.
Awesome.
So
Travis and Gene.
Yes.
All right. Well, looks like they're here. Do you want to let them in?
Yeah.
Welcome back to Noise and Nonsense. Today we're sitting down with Spaghetti Midwestern.
Hi, how are you doing?
Hello. Thank you for having us. We're doing great.
Yeah, I'm super great. Glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming in.
Who do we have from Spaghetti Midwestern today?
We have Travis, that's me. I play guitar in Spaghetti Midwestern.
He forgets to mention that he also writes all of our music, so humble as usual. I'm Jean Tomlin. I sing and look cool.
Awesome. Who are we missing?
We are missing Nico, who plays drums, and Gilby, who plays bass.
How did Spaghetti Midwestern first get started? What's the backstory?
Backstory. It's a good backstory. And it was actually almost exactly 2 years to the day ago that we met. I know that because it was on a friend's birthday, and we just met last night for her birthday celebration. I was relatively new to town. I'd played in bands in college and grad school. I loved writing songs and playing and doing original music. And in those bands, I was never the front man. I was always guitar, bass, or, I was never the front man or the singer. So whenever I had to move away for grad school, the end of grad school, I had to move to South Carolina for a year and a half to do a clinical thing. And then I was in Michigan for 3 years doing a research study, and I had all my equipment with me, but I knew I didn't really want to start a band because I knew those were temporary ventures. So once I finished those, I was going to be going somewhere else. And so then I came to Indiana and got a job at IU, and I knew I was going to be here for a little while, and I really had the itch to start playing music in a band again because I still had all my equipment. I was still like writing songs for fun, but they lived in my phone as like voice memos. Like I didn't have anywhere to put them out. But I don't know really how to go about it because my old bands were all good friends of mine. Shout out Tweed Jacket and the MFB back in West Virginia. They're some of my best friends in the world. But when I came here, I didn't really know anyone in the music scene, and so I was like, I don't know how to do this. And we were out for my friend's birthday. We went to Orbit Room for trivia, and then they followed that up with karaoke. We usually didn't stay for karaoke, and she wanted to stay out for her birthday. So like, yeah, sure, we'll do it. So we're out there, we're doing karaoke, and poorly. And then Gene walks in, and you sing the first song, and no joke, it was like everybody in Orbit Room kind of just like stopped and turned and was like, damn, like that's a good voice. And I remember thinking like, holy cow, like that's a really, really good singer.
I really love karaoke.
I'm glad you do. And so like we did a couple more songs, and I think you sang another song, and I just kept thinking like, wow, that voice is like exactly what I've always been hearing for like these songs that I wrote that like I'm not going to be able to sing myself. And so my friends were leaving, and I was like, I feel like I got to go say something. Like I got to go at least like say hi and, you know, just say like, hey, you're a great singer. And then I was like, I should just ask if you want to start a band, because what do I have to lose, right? So I went up, and I was, you know, I'm like relatively shy. And so I was like, hey, I just like, you're awesome, and you like, your voice is incredible, and I don't know if you're in a band or if you'd maybe be interested in starting one, but like I got a bunch of songs I wrote that I can't sing, but you could sing them really well. So if you'd possibly be interested in that, like let me know. And then Gene was like, yeah, sure. We talked for a few minutes, and I was like, yeah, maybe. And so I left, and I was like, I'll just like text tomorrow, because it's kind of hard to just like say flat out no to someone's face. So I was like, I'll just text and say like, hey, if you are interested, here's some stuff I got working. Thankfully, Gene texted back and was like, yeah, sure, let's give it a shot. And so we met up and jammed a little bit, and it seemed to work out. That's my side of the story. I've always been curious, like what you thought when I walked up to you.
I thought you were going to hit on me. No, I love karaoke. I've been singing, you know, for fun my entire life, choir in school and all that. And I like had a band for like 3 months in like 2015. It was a Riot Girl grunge band called Rage Baby. And it lasted exactly as long as that kind of project lasts, which was about 4 months, including the last 28 days that we all lived together. In any case, don't recommend it. So I'm from Philly originally. I ended up in Bloomington around 2021. I was out. I love doing karaoke. And this dude walks up to me, and he's like, hi. And I think he's going to hit on me, and I'm getting ready to be real polite because he seems nice. And he's like dressed respectably, you know? And he asked me, he said, hey, would you ever think about being in a band? And I was like, I could consider it. It's not like something you can say yes to, like, sight unseen. Yeah. Because, like, he seems nice. He might be crappy at music. Yeah. Yes. Or play, like, wild stuff I don't want to sing. But he was very flattering, which is a good way to get on my good side because I'm a Leo and quite vain. And, and then he texted me the next day, and I went over to his house. He had his acoustic. He showed me some of his lyrics, some of his voice memos. And the first song he played for me was "Keeps Me Up at Night," which is still one that we play, and I think it's real catchy, real sweet. And he's got like enough unexpected soul that it's like very satisfying to play with him. And in terms of, he was talking about all the music he produced before, he's like extremely prolific. Like he had a 6-inch stack of handwritten lyrics when I showed up, and he's written more since then. Like, nice. And by more I mean like 10 more. I'm incredibly fortunate because I can't write music or play any instruments, so I'm entirely parasitic in this relationship.
It's no, I would say it's symbiotic because I love writing and I love kind of imagining songs and putting them together and kind of hearing what they would sound like in my head. But like because when I show Gene a song, I'll play guitar and I'm like, oh, here's the vocal melody, and then Gene's like, ah, and it's like even better than I imagined in my head. I'm like, yes, that's what I'm hearing. Like, how do you do that? Like, you take this terrible little like rendition of what I do and you just run with it, and it's just so awesome.
So I guess with that, like, you kind of have been discussing that, like, so Travis is kind of the beginning of most of the music, but with the collaboration, then everyone kind of brings in their own personalities, or?
Yeah. So, some songs I'd written, usually like the stuff that I had, like prior to us starting, songs I'd written, usually it was guitar, like chords and vocal melody and lyrics for the most part. Some songs I had like the bass line written, which I'm a sucker for like a catchy bass line. So some songs had like a bass line already kind of built into it. So those ones, like I was like, yeah, here's the song and here's kind of how it's laid out. The newer stuff, like I typically, I guess I would come up with like lyrics or like a vocal melody and maybe some like chord structures. Then I'll bring that to band practice. And I'm like, here's an idea I'm working with, and we'll kind of hash it out from there. So yeah, everyone's like, Nico on the drums is just a maniac. It's amazing. Like, I don't know how drums survive long with Nico at the helm.
Nico is a Muppet in real life in the best possible way.
So yeah, Nico's like wildly talented on, anything regarding music, but luckily we got behind the drum kit. And it's actually funny you said a Muppet because we played for my neighbors last weekend, and one of my neighbors came out and he's like, man, your drummer, like, you know, like Animal on, like, that's kind of what it reminded me of. And I was like, that, we say that too. So yeah, Nico like just wails away. It's so cool. And then Gilby joined us about a year ago at this point. But I was like, yeah, I don't know, maybe something like kind of, I don't know, cool and funky. And then Gilby just runs with it. And it's like, it's so perfect. So it's been really nice, like kind of putting something on the table and then have her put in their little flair on it. Yeah,
I feel like dispositionally too, Gilby is a great balance for Nico because Gilby is so chill. Like he's so, and he's hilarious, but he's just like chilling over there with the bass, laying it down. And then when he does say something, it's usually like the darkest, sharpest, funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. And yeah, so our like percussion section is extremely well balanced in my opinion, just personally.
Gilby, like that's his name, Gilby. But we call him, his alter ego is Tommy Sugar. And I was trying to think of how this even happened, but we were in the studio with Greg recording, and I don't even know the context, but Gilby just, like, he doesn't say a whole lot, but out of nowhere, he was just like, I wish my name was Tommy Sugar. That was just like the funniest thing in the world. And so now, like, Gilby's Tommy Sugar on the bass.
Nice.
I know it had something to do with, we were talking about, Greg was at the guy we recorded with. Greg was asking us about what kind of tempo Same Page has, and we were talking about how it's a fuck beat. Sorry, are we allowed to swear on this podcast?
Yes.
It's exactly the right pace to be like sensually going to, and we said Gilby has to like lay this down and get us started because I don't know what numbers the tempo is.
Yeah. Tommy Sugar sounds right to lay down a fuck beat.
Yeah, he nailed it. Yeah,
should trademark that phrase.
Yeah. So, am I right to say Nico started out as your bass player in the beginning?
Yeah, Nico was originally on bass. Well, yeah, I guess back to the origin of the band. Gene and I came over, Gene came over and we jammed for a couple songs, and then after like the first meeting or maybe the second time, you're like, hey, I know a bass player and a drummer. You want me to call him? I'm like, hell yeah. Like, I would love that. So yeah, Nico was originally bass player, and we had Jenny on drums for the first, 6 months or so. And then Jenny quit, and then we didn't have a drummer, but Nico always kind of wanted to play drums, right? Like,
yeah, when I first told Nico about the band, I had already asked Jenny to be on drums because I knew she drummed. And then I told Nico about the band. I was like, Nico, I got this new band going. And he was like, can I be on drums? And I was like, sorry, drums are already taken. You could play bass, right? Nico they play everything. So, but they were always a little bit like, eyeing the drums longingly from across the room. It was a very Jesse's Girl situation, except the drums are the love interest.
Yeah, and so when Jenny quit, and then we had an opening on the drums, we're like, oh, this is perfect. Like, you always wanted to play drums, and so Nico went to drums. Then we found a new bass player, and it's fantastic. It worked out so well.
Nice.
There was about 3 weeks where we had a drummer and no bassist, and the music sounded empty. Yeah. So when Travis said, I found a guy on Facebook, I said, any port in a storm, and we could not have been more fortunate to have found Gilby.
Yeah. So when you first two got together, was it kind of love at first sound?
Yeah, for me, the voice, I was like, that's it. Like it all fell in place. Like I was in orbit room, just like imagining everything.
Yeah, basically as soon as like he started showing me his music and like what he could do lyrically and like musically, I was like, oh snap, this guy can produce bangers though. And then like I would go to his house and he'd be like, okay, here's one, and I would be like, look at this stack of lyrics over here though, why don't we? And I would just like be tearing through his piles going like, wait, what about this one? What about this one? What does this one sound like? Wait, ooh, I like these ones. And that's how we found, he had no intention to show me Time to Leave Again, but I was like, did you write a song about ADHD? Show me this one.
So would this be your second band outside of the Riot Girl?
Yes.
Art? Okay.
The second and longest musical relationship I've ever had.
Yes.
Nice. So where did the name come from?
That's a fun story too. Yeah, we didn't have a name initially. We were in my garage practicing. Some of our sound kind of had like a spaghetti western sound, like, you know, kind of twangy, surfy country sort of playing. And we were just talking about like, you know, our music, and then we started talking about spaghetti westerns and like just, you know, they're cool, and kind of, you know, the whole story behind those. And I think Gene was like, yeah, some of our stuff is kind of spaghetti western sounding. And then Nico was like, we're in Indiana. It's more like Spaghetti Midwestern. And I was like, that's it. That's the name of the band.
And I thought it was perfect because spaghetti westerns are famously not filmed in the West. They are fake. They're fake for sure. And I thought it was hilarious because in Spaghetti Midwestern, none of us are Italian, and also none of us are from the Midwest.
What inspires your lyrics and the overall sound of the band?
Yeah, lyrics. I never really know. Like I guess when I'm like coming up with a new song, it doesn't always go in the same order. Sometimes I'll think of like a catchy riff or like a cool chord progression or something, and then the song will kind of take shape around that, and I don't have like an idea, like the kernel of like what the song should be about. Sometimes I struggle with that, and it'll just sit for like years. Sometimes I'll just have the song, and then I'll have like some little interaction or like some little fleeting thought, and I'll kind of latch on to that. It's like, oh, that could be a song, and then I'll kind of run with that. I never really realized it until Gene one day was like, oh, we should play that song. It's like one of our songs that's not about like love or whatever. And I was like, oh, I guess they are a lot about like that generally. So I don't know, maybe I'm a hopeless romantic. I never really thought of that.
Yeah, he's totally a hopeless romantic. I don't know what he's talking about. It's a good thing. Maybe a hopeful romantic is more so what you are, because you're like well adjusted. I had never written any music in my life until I came to Spaghetti Midwestern with Travis, and but I did study creative writing for a long time. Travis is incredible in that I can write lyrics and then just give him words, and then he can make up music around the words, which I think is like incredibly cool. And for me, it's usually like an experience that I've had that I'm like thinking over in my head, and if I happen to like, I'm like always sort of like writing the stories and writing the poems in my head as a way of processing my experiences. And now I've discovered that sometimes I rhyme. And if I rhyme, then I go, oh, that could be a song. I don't know why that. And then I'll just like jot down a couple little pieces and put it together. I try to have like as much as I can together to give to Travis, and then once I give it to him, he can just do whatever. And once in a while, you'll send me a riff, and I'll be like, and I'm supposed to make lyrics for that, but that's harder. I've tried, yeah.
So it has evolved to where you're writing the lyrics now.
Sometimes,
yeah.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, there've been a couple of our songs that Gene has written the lyrics to, and I've kind of molded it into a song. And yeah, sometimes you'll send me like a list of lyrics, and I'll be putting it together musically, and maybe some like there's too many syllables or like it needs broken off somewhere, and so I'll have to kind of like change it slightly or like fill in gaps or do something. But I'll send it to Gene and be like, okay, here's what I'm thinking for this. Like it changed a little bit. I don't know if that's like exactly the idea you had in mind, but that's how it kind of fits musically. So we'll kind of go back and forth with like any adjustments to make sure I keep like the essence of the song. So yeah, it's been a couple, and then one new one that we're kind of working on. I came up with like a cool spaghetti western riff, and it's on a baritone guitar, which is really cool. I'm like really excited to get this one out. And I sent it to Gene. I was like, I don't really have an idea for a song, but do you? And it's like, you initially thought of something right off the bat, and you're like, oh, I want to run with that.
Yeah, immediately it reminded me of like an old nursery rhyme that used to be quoted back to me as a kid all the time. And so we got that far, and I'm maybe like 60% of the way done with the lyrics for that. I got to put some more time into it. But it was just like, it was like this moody, like, this moody vibe where it's like fuck around and find out, but like in a bluegrass way or a blues way. Travis, when I give him lyrics, he's almost too respectful. I'm like, please kill my darlings for me. Yeah. Like, go ahead, butcher it up. I don't. And he's like, I had to change this word. And I'm like, friend, but you gave me a song.
Yeah. So it was a moody fuck around nursery rhyme?
Yeah. Oh, do you want the nursery rhyme? There was a little girl with a little curl right in the middle of her forehead. And when she was good, she was very, very good. But when she was bad, she was horrid.
Nice.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, pretty awesome.
I don't know what that says about me as a child.
You all have any bands that you feel heavily influenced Spaghetti Midwestern or yourself musically?
Yeah, I think like kind of like late high school, early college, I think that's when I kind of like found my musical taste, which is a lot like early 2000s garage rock. I love all that stuff, just like rowdy, high energy.
That surprises me.
I know, it's weird, right? Yes, a lot of that early 2000s, like just rowdy, noisy stuff. I love things that like, they're not like too overproduced, and it's just kind of more about the energy. So like I've been on a big Hives kick lately. I love the Hives. Like they're just so fun. Yeah, so a lot of that stuff was kind of where I think I found like my musical taste and energy. And then a little like later, more recently, within the past, I don't know, 10 years or so, I've kind of gotten more into like the kind of twangy, kind of alternative country, bluesy, sort of surfy type stuff. So like there's an artist in a band called JD McPherson. I don't know if you guys ever heard of him, but he's really, really great. It's kind of similar to what we do. It's a little more like traditional sounding, but kind of high energy, like twangy bluesy, but also like rowdy and sweet in a sense. And so yeah, that, and then some like the really old like Eddie Nowak, like Sanford Clark, some of those like really old like classic kind of outlaw country. All that's kind of influence. And then also like I'm a sucker for like disco bass line, like anything that's like a really groovy bass line. Always a sucker for that. So a lot of like 80s R&B type stuff kind of sneaks its way in. So yeah, it's kind of all over the map, but I think it comes together in like a cool way.
Your love of funk is how we got Tommy Sugar. Yeah, I have a very eclectic and almost like basic musical influence. I've been singing my whole life, and so I love any music where the vocals are really strong. That has led me to like blues, pop, R&B, gospel, I love Haley Williams. I love Amy Winehouse. In terms of like full band music, I'm a victim of my emo phase. So pop punk emo from like the early aughts. Mayday Parade, My Chem, Yellow Card. And yeah, And then when I moved to the Midwest, I didn't know I could like country because the only country I had ever heard was like Dolly Parton growing up, obvious, love. But then like I worked in bars for a long time, and on the East Coast, the only country music that ever gets played on the jukebox is like, excuse me, but like shitty frat boy country, like Blake Shelton. One time my boyfriend abandoned me at a Blake Shelton concert on the beach in Atlantic City. It was awful. Anyway, so I didn't like country, we could say. And then I moved to the Midwest and found out like how much more country there is in the world, and how like fun and moody and like cool and like very like a lot of fun to sing for sure. In terms of like the bluegrassy stuff, bluesy stuff, outlaw stuff. There's a lot of great music about women killing men, and I like that, you know?
You're 100% right about country on the East Coast. I'm from New York, and it's just country, radio country,
It's
nonstop.
like
it's
I don't know, pop country,
yeah,
maybe? Yeah.
it's rough.
It's the country that's been through like an executive team.
Yeah.
Bro country.
Yes. Yeah. For someone that hasn't heard your music before, how would you describe it? Your sound and
And we need Nico. Nico is so good at describing things. How would we describe it? So we broadly categorize the genre as cowpunk. So yeah, kind of, I guess, yeah, bluesy, twangy punk. But Nico one time was doing a description for something and was like soulful R&B inspired twangy pop punk. I don't know. There were like 5 adjectives that all worked really well. Yeah, with Gene singing, like it does have like kind of a real soulful, groovy kind of R&B-ness to it.
Yeah, so I remember when we first discussed what kind of genre we were, and I said, and there was like pop punk was being thrown out there, the country, like the bluesy Appalachian country, because Travis comes from West Virginia, so Appalachian country vibes, and then I was like, well, pop punk plus country, you just cowpunk, and that made sense to me. Then I found out that there's already a genre called cowpunk, and it sounds nothing like what we're doing. So I generally describe us as like, what if like pop punk but mountain country vibes, and that gets it pretty boiled down. But it's hard to describe because I don't think there are very many. Like, we're not part of a single genre. There aren't very many projects that I know of that are doing what we're doing, in putting like pop punk and country together.
Yeah, we even like our original songs are not wildly different, but like some are kind of like classic. I call them like barn burner, just like you know, like real twangy guitar. It's still like kind of garagey. And others like Same Page are like kind of slow and moody and groovy and like real funky bass lines. And yeah, so even within like our sets, we kind of hit a lot of different, like we have some straight up just like punk, like pop punk, just like real fast, 2-minute song, just bang them out. Yeah, so we're kind of all over the map, but I think it all sounds like us. I know it's kind of cheesy to say, but I think even though we venture into like different genres within the bigger realm, like it still makes sense for us to play it the way we do.
Yeah, I think that's almost clearest because a lot of the songs we've made ourselves, we have fun sort of running this like very wide range of options in terms of vibe. But when we decide to do a cover, and we've only done a couple covers, we know how to make another song sound like us. And there's a consistency that's brought when we do a cover. Like we did a Blink-182 cover and a John Denver cover, and both like we're a little fast but not too fast. The drums are rowdy but you can still hear what we're singing. I'm singing my little heart out as hard as I can, and Travis is doing like fun twangy like joyful things. You're a very joyful guitarist, I think, and then Gilby's backing us up with like a funky, like a firm funky, not a slap bass.
Yeah,
funk.
yeah. Just Firm funk. I like
A
that.
firm
yeah.
funk.
Firm funk. Firm fat funk.
Firm fat funk by Tommy Sugar.
Yes.
And so when we put each one of us, we all each do our thing pretty consistently. And then depending on what the song is, we have more of Gilby or more of Nico or more of me or more of Travis. And I think when we do a whole set, there's room for everyone to shine. And that's how we get the variety.
I guess for our listeners who don't know, Travis is also guitar in Rearview Ronda. What do you bring to the table in Spaghetti Midwestern differently for gear, and like what's your setup, and do you have a different tone?
Yeah, it's similar. I use the same amp and the same pedal board, which I love. Like, I love musical gear. I'm not. It's weird to say that I love musical gear, but I'm not a gearhead. Like, I'm not really like a tinkerer with, like, knobs and stuff. I got a pretty simple pedal board, and actually Nico was looking at my pedal board and he's like, so you got like overdrive, more overdrive, distortion, and a fuzz. So it just kind of increments like more and more dirt, basically. But yeah, I've got like a reverb or a delay pedal that's like kind of set on a fast, like kind of slap back, and I kind of turn the reverb up. But yeah, that's basically the same. I use a Telecaster for Spaghetti Midwestern, and I'll play some song, like a really twangy song. I'll put it back on the bridge pickup, and kind of get that real sharp, kind of bitey sound. And then with Rearview Ronda, I use a Jazz Master, usually kind of the middle position, so it's a little thicker, a little heavier. And the Jazz Master has the vibrato, because in some of our songs I'm doing some like weird feedback and kind of.
Isn't there another
noisy
guitar
things.
you played at the Rose's show? I feel like you brought out a green guitar.
Oh, I do have another big, a big semi-hollow body, which I love.
Okay,
It's like over the top, but it was my gift to myself when I finished grad school. I'd always wanted it. It's like it's a remake of an old Airline H78, and it's like this kind of sage green. It's got three gold foil pickups, like 3 switches, Bigsby vibrato. It's got like it's so much, but yeah, I don't play it too much because it's like in a live setting, because it's kind of big. But I play that in the studio quite a bit. It got some really nice kind of like twangy, moody sounds out of that one.
Okay.
He was as happy as a kid on Christmas when he got that guitar, and he got it just in time to use it to add some like really cool flavor onto Time to Leave Again, because we did that in a big studio, and he was so excited, and it sounded like a spaghetti western, like guitar, just like brum, and the like. It was so cool, and you were so excited to use it, and yeah, I have pictures.
Nice.
Yeah.
That one is on Spotify. We are on all of the places that DistroKid puts us.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know that. Where did you all start playing? When did you start? Did you start on guitar? How old were you?
Yeah.
Gene, when did you start acknowledging that you like to sing?
Yeah, I was pretty. I was a late bloomer when it comes to playing music. Actually, my uncle back home is a phenomenal musician. He plays anything with strings. He's very good at like bluegrass, like picking guitar, mandolin, bass, banjo. Incredible banjo player. And when I was maybe like 10 years old, he was like, "Hey, let me show you some stuff on guitar." And we sat down. He showed me like a D chord, and I just like had no interest at the time. And I was like, I'd rather skateboard, I think. So I didn't really pick it up again, and I'd still kick myself. Oh man, I wish I would have started when I was really young. But I didn't really get another interest in music until I think like my senior year of high school is when I started. And a few of my friends played, and I was like, that just seems like it's so much fun. Like, it'd be so cool to be able to do that. And I borrowed a friend's guitar, and I learned how to read tabs. And the first song that I learned was Pop Goes the Weasel. And my family will back me up on this. I probably played that like 500 times. So they were so sick of hearing it. But I figured out like how to read tabs and how to play and how to make it work. I was like, oh, I can do this. So I started with guitar, and then, I picked up bass not too long after that, and then dabbled in keyboards. I played keyboards in a funk band and back in West Virginia, which is pretty funny. But dabble in keyboards and synthesizers, and then I got a drum set at some point in college and bang around on the drums every once in a while. So yeah, it didn't really start for me until like I was probably 17, I think, when I started. So kind of a late bloomer to the game, but it's never too late.
Yeah, I don't remember ever consciously choosing to start singing. I just always seem to have a song stuck in my head. I remember watching MTV with my sister, and I would just be singing all the time. And another thing is that a feature of me has always been that I am loud. I don't know how to turn it off. I can turn it down. I can't turn it off. And one of my sister's friends was, when my sister's 8 years older than me, one of my sister's friends was into show tunes. And in 1996, show tunes featuring child stars was like a big deal, you know? And her friend, who was like a sister to me, helped babysit me, was like, I'm going to teach this little kid show tunes. And so I did The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow by Annie, from Annie, at my second grade talent show. And then the one I really remember is in third grade, the show Les Mis, right? There's this character, she's this little orphan girl. And I was very dramatic. I say that in the past tense, as though it is not still true. In any case, the Castle on a Cloud is a song where the little girl is like dreaming about dying so she can go to heaven and be with her dead mom. It's like pretty tragic, right? And I made a dress out of rags and like covered myself in dirt. I was 8. I messed up my hair. I went barefoot on a stage at my third grade talent show with a broom. And I got my first standing ovation, and everyone cried. It was awesome. Yeah. And I just remember feeling like, this is it. And my creative pursuits sort of diverged once I hit high school. I'm from Philly, like I mentioned, and I went to an arts high school. It's magnet school, so it's public. You had to audition to get in, and I really wanted to go to this school. Like, I did not want to go to my neighborhood school. I didn't want to go to the same school as anyone I went to middle school with. I was like, I got to go to this art school in South Philly. And I'm looking at you had to audition based on a major. And I made an extremely practical decision that probably a lot of people would be auditioning for singing. And I couldn't read sheet music. I started to learn sheet music with the clarinet, but got bored really fast. And so I made the calculated decision that I would apply as a creative writer instead of a vocalist, because I thought there would be less competition for literacy in the city of Philadelphia public school system. I was right. I made it and I ended up being friends with all the vocal majors. And I should have mentioned show tunes as a solid lifelong influence. But yeah, I ended up being friends with all the vocal majors, and I just kept singing for fun. Nice. But I think I always had a kind of insecurity, a kind of because I couldn't write music. I didn't understand music theory. I don't know what letters go with what notes. I just sing intuitively, and what you tell me to do. And I take instruction really well. And I started going to karaoke when I was 17 at Applebee's. It was illegal because I was not old enough to drink. But I would go with my coworkers on Thursday nights, and it was the crappiest little PA system, but that Applebee's, man, I looked forward to it. I started going karaoke all the time, and I just kept doing that. And karaoke is how I met my first band too, for what it's worth. My first guitarist, Rachel, found me at karaoke, and convinced me to start Rage Baby, where she wrote music and I just sang what I was told to sing. So, at least I'm consistent. Thanks.
It works so well.
Yeah. So what's up next for Spaghetti Midwestern? Are you all have any upcoming shows or recording?
That's a good question. Yeah, we played a block party at my front. We set up in my front yard last weekend and played for the neighborhood, which is really cool because we practice there sometimes. And I was like, oh man, I hope this isn't annoying the neighbors. And a couple of neighbors that had heard it, they'd be like, hey, you play you guys sound pretty good. So I was like, oh, okay, well. They don't hate it, at least. Yeah. Yeah. So we set up and played in the front yard for the block party, which was super cool. So we'd kind of been planning for that because we played every song that we know. We just played them all. So yeah, we don't really have anything next on the agenda. So we're trying to figure that out.
I walked up to this block party and introduced myself to one of Travis's neighbors. And I said, thank you so much for having us and letting us play outside. And they go, oh, we can hear you. So we already knew you were good. And we were like, so when he asked, we thought, yeah, okay, we could let him because they're actually pretty good. We'd like to hear it properly.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think we've talked about trying to record some more. Travis wants to make an album called Twangers and Bangers, which we're all in favor of.
That's a good name.
With an EP called Twangers and an EP called Bangers, and then like a release situation where we put them together. But did you know that recording is expensive?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Who would have known? Yeah. We have a stockpile enough to put together a whole album. It's just a matter of like time and money getting into the studio. I personally love playing live. That's like my favorite thing to do. I think we all do. Like, I love seeing the crowd like just have fun to the music we're playing. Seeing people dancing and like just having a good time. I love that so much. So I really want to play. Try to play out some more this fall. We've been traveling. Various members have been traveling, and we've been kind of busy. Gene's pretty busy for the next like few weeks, so maybe in the later half of the fall, we'll get out and play some shows. That's what I want to do. I hope so. Anybody out there listening in Bloomington, if you want a band to play shows with, please.
If you could see his face right now, you wouldn't be able to say no. I think there's an interesting thing that happens, like a challenge that happens where we do have like a blend of genres. So we can sound good alongside a lot of different kinds of bands. We can play with just about anybody in this part of the world. Like, I guess if you were playing if you were playing bro country, we wouldn't want to play with you. But like I said, we can play with a lot of different sounds. We can participate in a lot of different lineups. But what that actually ends up happening is that there aren't like specific bands who are like, you sound like us, we should always play together, or specific venues that are like, you play what we do here, you should always play here. It's sort of like we fit everywhere, so we struggle to find places where we fit at the same time, if that makes sense.
What's the best way for people to stay up with the happenings of the band, to connect? Best ways to support?
You can follow us on Spotify. We have 3 songs. It's really exciting. And all the other music places have us too. And then we have an Instagram. It's Spaghetti Midwestern Band, because a Spaghetti Midwestern all by itself was taken. So
rude.
Yeah.
It's Spaghetti Midwestern Band. We do post about flyers and like flyers from shows and things that are happening. I am an awful social media manager, but this week Travis got access to the Instagram, so I expect it to really pick up.
I have some ideas for things to post, so yeah, maybe we'll start that soon. But yeah, pretty much through Instagram, like DM if you're a band and you would like to play a show.
You can have my phone number.
Well, thank you, Travis. Thank you, Gene, from Spaghetti Midwestern on being a part of the show today.
Thank you so much for having us. I'm enormously grateful. This has been really fun.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much. I know we've talked about trying to get on here for a while, and we've been busy and been gone, and finally made it happen. So it's been super cool. Yeah, thank you guys so much.
Thank you on such short notice too. That's
we're always ready to rock and roll.
Yeah.
I got back from Northwest Indiana at 5:00 this morning.
Oh wow.
Shit.
Yeah.
That's when I went to bed last night.
That's when I went to bed too.
Well, thanks for being a trooper.
Yeah. Got shows to promote?
I don't. No, this will be released on September 1st.
Yep.
No, I've already played on the 29th at the Bishop.
Oh, just missed it.
Yeah.
You can check my band out October 31st at the Bishop. We'll be with Ritual Spell and Master Hunter from Kokomo/Lafayette. That's all we're doing.
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening.
Yep. Thank you.